The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hi folks, welcome to Aging Horizons. On today's show, we'll be talking about Medicare and the programs that are offered through our senior centers and our area agencies on aging throughout Montana. Now, many of these programs are specific to the area. We'll be talking with Yellowstone County and how they administer these programs, what they bring to their customers in that area as it applies to you. So stay tuned.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
This is Bill. He just received his new Medicare card and is following some simple rules to protect himself from fraud. He knows to never give out his Medicare, Social Security, or bank number over the phone. And this is Nancy. She knows that to detect any problems, she always reads her Medicare Summary Notice or Medicare Advantage EOB to make sure the billing is correct. Both Bill and Nancy know that anything suspicious can be reported to Montana SMP at 1-800-551-3191.
45 years, 2 packs a day. It's like $80,000. I thought I was just hurting myself until I fell asleep in a chair with a cigarette. The whole house went up. I lost it all. I knew smoking was expensive, but I never thought it would cost me everything.
The human heart. Even at its strongest, it's a fragile muscle. Chest and arm pain, shortness of breath, are signs of a heart under attack. But 3 numbers can save a life. Dial 911 at the first sign of a heart attack. Quick response from medical experts can save your life.
I was 45 and it happened to me, a heart attack.
Dialing 911 saved Ryan's life. Now he's here and he's healthy.
This message sponsored by Mission Lifeline Montana.
Hi folks, welcome to Aging Horizons, which is brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. I'm your host, Brian Lamore, and we're talking today about programs that are available throughout the state, through our area agencies, through our senior centers, and through some special programs that they have to offer. In order to illustrate what they can offer you, we'll be talking with the Adult Resource Alliance of Yellowstone County, of which Sue Bailey is a part of. Welcome to the show, Sue.
Thank you for having me, Brian. It's really nice to be here.
Great. So now you have this alliance in Yellowstone County, and you provide services to a targeted population. What are some of the services that you offer, and who participates in these programs?
Well, we're primarily a senior service agency. We are the folks who do Meals on Wheels in the congregate or meal site here in Yellowstone County. We provide some transportation. We have a volunteer program that provides us volunteer opportunities in both our organization and others in the community. And then we have the Alliance Resource Center, which is an aging and disabled resource center, and it provides assistance to a slightly larger group. Most of our programs are 60 and over, but the Resource Center, because it is an aging and disabled resource center, will work with folks 60 and older, plus adults with physical disabilities 18 and over. So that target group's a little bit larger than the general programs available here at the Alliance.
Mm-hmm. So you're able, because I imagine economies of scale, that you can participate in other programs beside these, what we call Older American Act or Area Agency on Aging or Senior Center programs. And how are you maybe unique than other services that are provided throughout the state to our senior population?
Well, I'm the program director for the Alliance's Resource Center, which, as I said, is an aging and disabled resource center, which is the new model, and it's not that new. It's been around for about 17 years, but it is the new way to get information and assistance out to seniors and their families and those younger disabled folks to help them find services in the community, have assistance answering questions or filling out forms. So we're basically an information and assistance and the SHIP provider here in Yellowstone County. We were one of the very first aging and disabled resource centers when they were first created in 2004. We were the first one west of the Mississippi. And so we're very proud of our history in that role. And now aging and disabled resource centers are all over the state of Montana.
That's great. So you're pretty innovative, I'll say, in that you're looking at how to best serve the individuals in your community. Now, you're talking about information and assistance, and anymore, with all this wonderful technology, there's a varieties of ways to provide that. And I imagine that you're looking at those ways in order to better serve your customers. I imagine you can see them in person, maybe do Zoom, telephone calls, or you do public meetings?
Yeah, we do all of those. With COVID, up until actually 2 days ago, we were still only by phone, but we have begun our in-person appointments again with safety precautions to make sure everybody's safe with that COVID just still hanging out there and being a bit of a concern. We also started our in-person presentations again, and we do Zoom if the individual finds that a comfortable way to communicate with us. We find that most of our seniors prefer either in person or by phone. Some of them are, we expect as this program goes on that our seniors will become more and more tech savvy. But right now, a lot of the folks who need help from us don't feel real comfortable with computers. And so they want that in person or, at worst case scenario, that phone call.
Mm-hmm. So you have all this information. How do you provide the assistance? I imagine you know all the different programs that are out there. And I think we call it one-stop shopping. It sounds like we go to you, and you are aware of everything that's available, correct? And you can target the programs to the people. That's our job.
When they created the Aging and Disabled Resource Centers, they wanted it to be a no wrong door, so that if a person came to the resource center, we would be able to at least let them know what services were out here in the community. And in certain situations, not always, but in certain situations, we actually assist them in getting those services because maybe they're overwhelmed as a caregiver or they don't have the ability to make that initial connection. So working with them either on a conference call or on their behalf, we help folks get connected up with those services that they have identified from what we've told them will be the best for their current situation. We try very hard to give folks lots of options so that they don't feel like they're driven to just one thing, that there's a variety of ways to solve problems, and we try to present all the possibilities. Fortunately, in Yellowstone County, with our large medical systems and stuff, we have options that some parts of the state don't always have.
Mm-hmm. So you have a wealth of options, and I'd like to point out that you're representative of the aging network throughout the state of Montana. You offer maybe a little bit more because of the economies of scale, but we have an 800 number on the screen, and that will ring into the local area agency. Now, quickly, what are some of the programs that the senior programs offer to individuals age 60 plus?
Well, the Alliance has, of course, Meals on Wheels. That's a very large program and has grown. Probably about 25% during the COVID because more folks were getting isolated and becoming homebound. So that's a growing program for us and has always been a critical program. Our meal sites were closed, of course, during COVID and now have begun opening. As of the middle of May, all of our senior centers meal site situations are back in service. So that's very exciting. Our seniors have really missed one another and having that social aspect. I mean, a good meal can be brought to you by Meals on Wheels, but to be able to sit and visit with your friend at a table is a real treat, and people are very grateful to have that back. Mm-hmm. We have some transportation here. We provide medical transportation here in Billings proper, and then we have some rural transport bringing folks in from the east and west side of our county into the Billings area for appointments.
And Sue, we've run out of time for this segment. We're going to be right back, and we'll talk more about those programs, so stay tuned.
Respite. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. Will you provide it?
The hard part about
having outside help is that there's not a lot of people out there who can do that kind of work. We've been very fortunate that our Bonnie has been with us for 7 years. I don't know what I'd do without her. I need her in our lives. She's our second mother. And I can't help but think of her that way.
To find out how to change lives, including your own, call 800-224-6034 or visit respite.mt.gov.
Questions about Medicare and other types of insurance? Contact the State Health Insurance Assistance Program office to get answers to questions like, what is the difference between Medicare and Medicaid? And how do you decide if you need Medicare supplemental insurance? This insurance counseling program is not a sales program. It is available to provide answers to your insurance questions. For more information, call the State Health Insurance Assistance Program office at 1-800-332-2272.
I have so many questions about power of attorney.
Well, some powers of attorney are for finances and others are for healthcare decisions.
A power of attorney designates an agent who would make decisions on your behalf.
While making a power of attorney, you have the ability to control your agent's power.
You also have the ability to decide when that POA would take effect.
Wait, am I giving away all my rights?
Power of attorney isn't a license to make any decision for you, just those that you've specified.
Your agent should be somebody that's working in your best interest, but it should also be somebody that you would trust.
What if they try to abuse their power?
Protective measures like third-party accounting, secondary signatures, defined spending and gifting limits can help protect against financial exploitation. An agent's powers can always be limited by a customized power of attorney, and they can be revoked by you or the court if the power of attorney is abused.
So carefully drafted estate planning documents can help ensure that your finances are monitored, but not abused.
If you or someone you know is being exploited, please report to Aging Services Bureau at 844-277-9300 or the Legal Service Developer at 1-800-332-2272. This message sponsored by the DPHHS Aging Service Bureau.
Hi folks, and welcome back to Aging Horizons. I'm your host, Brian Lamore, and we're continuing our discussion about the Adult Resource Alliance of Yellowstone County. In this segment, we'll be talking about Medicare, and rejoining us is Sue Bailey. And Sue, when we talk about an individual who's new to Medicare, when do they become eligible first, and what are some of the considerations that they have?
Well, Brian, becoming new to Medicare can happen in a couple of different ways. The most common way for most folks is at 65, if you or your spouse has worked at least 10 years, which is very easy for most folks to have done, you qualify for Medicare. And so it's an insurance that's based on helping the elderly be sure that they have health coverage. It was an issue back in the end of the 20th century that it was difficult for seniors to get insurance. So the federal government stepped in and created this product. But it also is available to folks who are on Social Security disability insurance and have been receiving that for 2 years. They also qualify for Medicare. So we have quite young people on Medicare. It isn't just an elderly program.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the considerations that one might think about when they're saying, well, let's say I'm 64, I'll be eligible 65. What are some of the thoughts about preparing for that?
Well, across the state, the aging services have created programs and presentations to help folks get prepared for that, because this is a big decision. When you start Medicare and look at the other insurances that work with Medicare, in some cases replace Medicare, it's a big decision, and it's one that you may be making for the next 20 years. So being knowledgeable and confident in your decision is very critical for something this important. So many organizations, such as my own, start with a presentation that's open to the community. We have one currently we're having one every other month, twice a month, first and third Tuesdays of the month at our 2 different locations. And that allows folks to come in and learn what Medicare is, what Medicare supplements are, what advantages are, what drug plans are, how they all fit together. We even talk about the financial assistance programs, so that they get a really good base knowledge. And then, and you can do that at any point. I've had people who are curious and start going to those meetings as early as 2 or 3 years before they're really going to start Medicare, because they want to know. They want to do their research and their due diligence so that they feel comfortable when that time to make those decisions comes around. Then we have, in addition to that, for individuals who are within 3 months of beginning their Medicare, whether they're qualifying because they're about to turn 65 or they're about to qualify because they're reaching the end of the 24-month waiting period when they're on disability, we will sit down with them and do a one-on-one visit to tell them very specifically about all the programs kind of get a feel for that. They can discuss their situation with us one-on-one, and then we can help them kind of maybe go, well, it looks like for you, this might be a good option, or you might want to consider this one. But we educate them about all aspects, because often people need to know why they don't want something just as well as why they do want something. Mm-hmm. And so being well informed so that you know all the parts of it is very critical. We also go over the prescription drug plans. There are a lot of them to choose from, so that takes some actual, we use the Medicare.gov plan finder to help us narrow down from the numerous policies out there, so the one that's best for that individual, help them identify that. Also looking at how the medications are covered on the Advantage plan, since Advantage plans in our county at least come with both the medical and the drugs as one product. So having that information, when we have that one-on-one appointment, we also talk to them about what financial assistance programs they might qualify for. There's the low income subsidy, extra help, which is available for folks who are low to moderate income, who that will help with the cost of their medications, the deductibles, the premium itself can make the cost, the drug plan or the drug portion of the Advantage plan much more cost effective for them. The other thing we will look at is Big Sky RX, which is this wonderful state program that has a much more generous income limit and no asset limit. So it's available to a lot more Montanans, and it helps with the cost of the premium, which can, it's not as much as the extra help program, but it can make a difference. $400 is $400. Mm-hmm. So that gives you money that can be spent on something else. And then we also will look at whether they qualify for the Medicare Savings Program, which is the program through the Medicaid program that pays the Part B premium, and in some cases pays the co-pays and deductibles that Medicare would leave you. So that's another important program to identify if a person qualifies for. And at the same time, since we're looking at all these financial things, we even take a look at SNAP to see if you might qualify for SNAP. And that's, of course, what more commonly known as food stamps. It's a nutrition program, but it had, when we're looking at financial, why not see all the programs a person can enroll in? And we usually need another appointment to get all of those programs enrolled in, but it gives us an idea of what they're looking at and what funds they'll have to pay for their Medicare and their additional insurance if they choose to get that.
Mm-hmm. And I think one thing that's important that I always like to point out is that you're not selling anything personally. You don't have anything on the shelf. You're the advocate for the individual that's in front of you. You have access to a lot of resources for other programs that they may be eligible for. And although we're limited by time, we can only kind of skim the surface. There are a lot of details. If you're 65 and you're continuing to work and you have health care coverage, there's another set of considerations that are set in there. Plus, right. You don't want to wait too long after you're eligible to sign up, because there's penalties that will follow you for the rest of your life for signing up late. But the best plan at the best time and the right plan is what we're looking for. And you're representative of area agencies and senior centers throughout the state that our viewers can access in their local hometown. And what's important, you might know the person you're talking to, but everything is absolutely confidential. Nothing leaves the office. You can talk to them in confidence, but when it comes down to it, you make the decision as to what is important for you. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
I was the last guy you'd expect to get diabetes. I was a competitive runner and I always took care of myself. So when I was diagnosed, it kind of threw me. But it's really encouraging to know I'm not alone with it. There are a lot of other people going through the same things as I am. It takes some effort. You have to keep after it. Exercise, meds, and diet are the key. But there are a lot of folks who want me to succeed. Diabetes is not the end of the world. With effort and attitude, you can have a normal life.
Flight 109, is that Evel Knievel on the runway?
Whoa, Daredevil. You need a Montana Real ID to fly. Go to mtrealid.gov to make an appointment.
Looks easier than jumping a canyon.
Smile. I see you changed your name from Robert to Evil. Did you bring your name change documentation?
I'm not trying to pull a stunt. Got the paperwork right there.
Go to mtrealid.gov.
Now I can fly. It's that easy.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. I'm your host, Brian Lamore, and we're discussing about Medicare and programs that are available to seniors throughout Montana. An important aspect of this is letting people know that we do have those programs, people that are currently eligible or could possibly be in the future, and we call that outreach. Rejoining us is Sue Bailey with the Adult Resource Alliance of Yellowstone County. And Sue, can you tell us how you approach outreach to make sure the people are getting on the programs that they're eligible for?
Well, we're really fortunate here, Brian, that we have a lot of options and way to get information out to the folks in our community and in our region even. We have our own magazine that we put out, our Senior News. It comes out every other month with information, including our menus for the meal sites and information about new scams or new programs that are coming out because they're a seasonal program. So it's a great way to get information out to folks. And we have a great readership for that magazine. We also I do an article every month in the Billings Gazette that is SHIP-oriented, State Health Insurance Assistance Program. And it's always a Medicare issue. My most recent one was about preventative services. There are a lot of great services out there for Medicare that are free, but people don't realize it. So having a list of them in the paper you can cut out really helps get that information out there. We also have both our staff and our SMP volunteers go around to our meal sites and do presentations on topical information. SMP especially, our senior Medicare Patrol volunteers take information every month to the senior centers with new issues on things that new programs that Medicare is coming or emphasizing a program that's not getting maybe enough attention, or a lot of information on scams. We do a lot of information both on Medicare scams and other types of scams in our community. We get information nationally or from our state offices telling us that there's a new scam on the loose, and using our various forms of outreach, including presentations. I have a presentation try to do it every year. Are you a savvy consumer? Can you spot a scam when you see it? Do you know what a grandparent scam would sound like on the phone? Do you know when you get stuff that looks like a check in the mail, maybe that's not really a check and you shouldn't try to deposit it? So there's lots of ways to educate people, and we've been very pleased because we often get phone calls from folks telling us, I got this strange thing. Is this real or not? And occasionally, like recently when they released all those things that look like credit cards that were actually your stimulus monies, we had to explain to people, yes, those are true and that's okay. But more often than not, we have to say, no, that's a scam and you were smart to ask and check. And so we try very hard to educate people how to respond on the phone, how to not give out information that's important. So it's an important role for all of the area agencies on aging to help keep their folks informed of what's here, what's coming, and make them prepared to know how to handle these things and hopefully reduce the amount of financial exploitation our seniors experience.
Yeah, it's too bad that people focus on seniors, but as a computer fraud friend of mine said, that's where the money is.
That's
so
right.
That's where they go. And let's talk about the SMP, Senior Medicare Patrol. Sometimes there are mistakes on your Medicare billing, and sometimes they're intentional mistakes. And that's an important part of what the SMP, Senior Medicare Patrol, does. We have an 800 number we'll put on the screen. They're available statewide. And maybe what are some of the first thoughts a person might think when they get a bill bill or they see something that goes, this might not be right. What should I do?
Well, what we always recommend when we're talking to folks is first thing you do when you see something that you're pretty sure is not wrong. I mean, if you have a gentleman who went in for a health screening and he's got a pregnancy test, that's probably not for him. Mm-hmm. But basically what we want to do then is reach out to the billing department for that clinic and see if it's just a coding issue. Often it's just a mistake made by human error, and they can fix that and resubmit it to Medicare so that it's properly handled. But occasionally they insist that it's true and you are pretty sure you didn't have that service. And so the idea of going to 1-800-Medicare can be somewhat daunting for folks. And that's why the agencies who host the SMP program will work as an advocate for you to help you look into this. They have some of the skills. They kind of know what first calls to make. Sometimes it's just daunting to know where to begin. And one of the nice things about the SMP host programs is that they have a place to start. And they know they have relationships with their clinics. They have relationships with the state SMP office out of Missoula, and they can help get it going. If it turns out that it's super complicated, they may hand it off to the main office in Missoula, where they have expertly trained volunteers to work on solving the really complicated cases. But it's important. Sometimes a small error on your bill hardly seems worth the effort. But if it was an error that was made across many Montanans, it could turn out to be a real chunk of money that the taxpayers are paying when they really shouldn't be. So being vigilant, checking your summary notices so that you know that you're reading that it is the care you had, catching those mistakes, not sharing your Medicare information with anybody other than a tested provider, and just being vigilant on protecting your Medicare number like you would your credit card, because it really is a medical credit card.
Mm-hmm. And Sue, you mentioned a statement there is that people don't know where to start, whether it is Medicare, whether it is programs for the senior, advocacy. You know, some adult protective services also are available out there for seniors, in which both the seniors and those that care for them and maybe those who love them can access information with that 800 number. It's statewide, it's confidential, they'll work with you, they'll make sure you get the right services at the right time. And we just have a few moments. Do you have a few comments that you would like to end the show with, Sue?
Well, I thank you very much for having me on the show. I've watched Aging Horizons for years, so it's a real treat to be on. And I appreciate all the good information that you get out to our seniors, and I hope your viewership just continues to rise.
Great, thank you. And that's part of our outreach, is using people like you, the very informed people like you, Sue. And we appreciate all that you do, and we appreciate our viewers. So thank you for joining us.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.